while building a list in Jolt, you may have seen here in the settings option this little box that says use for scoring. So what is scoring and how is it different from points? Well, if we hover over this little question mark here, it says scoring will rank results to be used to calculate a score for the list. So if you remember, points are what you assign an individual task, and an employee can earn those points for completing a task. So points is to track task completion for the employee. Scoring, though, is for the actual list. So you get a report card style on a list, such as an inspection form. We did this inspection and we got an 85%. Or we did a performance review and they got a 92%. So that's the difference. And to highlight that here on the iPad, if Michael's logged in and come and completes a task, he will earn 10 points that are assigned to this task. But if we come and do this inspection, you see he's not earning points for himself. He's just tallying up a score for the inspection so that we can see how we did on this inspection. So far we have 3 out of 89, or about 3.4%. So how do we set this up? Well, first thing you're going to need to do is check this box that says use for scoring. So you just simply check it, and then we have the two options here. If you uncheck these boxes, then that will hide the score from the iPad. So if you notice, I can see the score as I'm going along here, which you may not want if you're doing something like a quiz. You don't want them to be able to see immediately if they got the right answer, because then they could change it. So if you want to hide that option, you uncheck both of these boxes. Or if you just want to hide it from some people or some roles, then you can pinpoint based on who's assigned and who's managing the list, which you can manage right here, who is assigned and who manages a list. So once you've straightened that out, then we can actually start assigning scores. Now when you click new list item here, this little blue percentage sign shows you which items are available to use for scoring. In this audit form, I have a lot of yes, no items, and I can assign scores. For a yes, I put 1 point, for a no, 0. You can actually customize this however you want, and the system will do all the math for you. So I can make this worth 15 points if I want this question here to be weighted heavier and calculate more heavily into my final score. You can even do negative points. So if I want this to be an automatic fail, if the answer is no, maybe I make it worth a negative 100 points. So it wipes out all the points. So that's all up to you to customize. I'll just go ahead and reset that. But you can customize all those scores. Here's what it looks like for multiple choice. If I click edit here, I can change the scoring here as well. Same thing for rating items. So here's a rating 1 through 5. I change those scores and it will be reflected accordingly. And here's what it looks like. There's the multiple choice where I would get 2 points for a needs improvement or 5 points for the acceptable. And here's a rating. And you see that's going to affect the score. So that's really all it is. Pretty simple. But let's take a look at how that reports when you're done. So if we come into the review section and go to browse lists, then we'll go ahead and pull up our audit form. There it is, that's the one we were looking at. And we're going to see the scores of some audits that have been done. Now a lot of these are incomplete, but here's one that was done 100% on time by Scott Marchant. And looks like we got 70 out of 89, or about a 78% on that audit. So all the scores are going to be right here on the right hand side. And that's pretty much it. Again, scoring is very useful for things like audit forms and inspections, performance reviews. You can even use them for quizzes and tests.